The alien mind reader looked into the commander's thoughts and froze. The room was quiet but full of tension. Commander Ethan Brooks walked in with steady steps. Humans had never been trusted by the Alien Council, and today they were here to discuss the border crisis. Ethan was calm, his dark eyes moving from one alien to another. Each species had different features. Some had smooth gray skin, others had shiny scales, and a few had multiple eyes. All of them looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. They expected humans to be weak, nervous, or easily frightened. Ethan knew that was exactly what they wanted to see, but he did not flinch. Laura King, the human science officer, walked beside him. She carried a data tablet filled with reports from the border regions. She whispered to Ethan, "They are watching you closely. I can feel their eyes on us." Ethan nodded slightly but said nothing. He had learned long ago that words were not always needed to show strength. His presence alone could speak louder than any speech. The head alien of the council, a tall being named Varin, motioned for everyone to sit. "Humans have come to explain their position," Varin said. His voice was calm but carried authority. "We are here to see if we can trust your species in this matter. The border crisis affects us all." Ethan took a deep breath. He walked to the center of the room, holding himself straight and strong. "We are here to cooperate," he said. His voice was steady, confident, and clear. "Our ships patrol the borders to prevent accidents. We do not wish to start conflicts. We want peace." Varin's eyes narrowed. He did not trust words. He had seen many species make promises and break them. Beside him, an alien known as the Mind Reader shifted slightly. This alien had the ability to enter the thoughts of others. Its eyes glowed faintly whenever it prepared to read someone's mind. It had broken leaders of many worlds just by knowing their fears. Now it stared at Ethan, waiting for the perfect moment. Laura noticed the change. "He is focusing on you," she whispered. Ethan nodded again. He had expected this. The humans knew about the Mind Reader's ability from previous encounters. It was dangerous, yes, but it also gave an opportunity. Ethan had trained his mind to stay clear, calm, and focused under pressure. No one could disturb him if he remained steady. The council room was large and circular, with a high ceiling that glowed softly. Symbols of the alien civilizations decorated the walls. Screens showed maps of the border regions and ships patrolling the area. Human technology seemed simple compared to the aliens, but Ethan knew the value of precision and planning. He could not allow fear or doubt to enter his mind. Varin spoke again. "Our observers tell us humans are different from other species. You claim to seek peace, but we must verify your strength and honesty. Mind Reader, proceed." The Mind Reader floated forward. It hovered a few inches above the floor, its limbs moving slowly and deliberately. Its eyes glowed brighter. Ethan did not move. He let his body remain relaxed but his mind focused. He began to recall memories, not to hide them but to face them openly. He remembered training days on Earth, when he had run for hours in harsh weather, learning endurance. He remembered difficult decisions in past missions, when he had chosen the safety of his crew over personal gain. He remembered losses, friends lost in battle, and how he had continued despite the pain. The Mind Reader reached out, its glowing eyes connecting with Ethan's thoughts. It expected panic, fear, hesitation, or confusion. It expected the human mind to be chaotic, weak, or easy to manipulate. But it found none of these things. Ethan's mind was clear. His thoughts were steady, precise, and full of determination. The alien felt the focus and the inner strength flowing from him, but it could not understand it fully. Laura watched closely. She noticed the slight change in the Mind Reader's body language. Its movement slowed. Its breathing, if it could breathe, seemed shallow. Ethan stayed calm, letting the alien probe, letting it see what it would. He knew the more the Mind Reader tried to break him, the more it would reveal its own weaknesses. Noah Price, a young human officer, observed silently from the back of the room. He had seen many alien species before, but never the mind reader so close. He could feel tension building. The room seemed to grow colder, or maybe it was just the fear in the alien council. Ethan's calmness had a strange effect. It made the alien unsettled, even frightened. Varin leaned forward. "What is happening?" he asked quietly. He could see that the mind reader had paused. It was unusual for the mind reader to stop mid-scan. Ethan continued to breathe slowly, keeping his mind focused. He thought about his crew, his mission, the importance of honesty and integrity. He did not think about hurting the alien. He only thought about his responsibility as a human commander. The mind reader sensed something it had never felt before. It felt strength mixed with humility, courage mixed with compassion, and fear acknowledged but not allowed to control action. It could not find a point of weakness. It recoiled slightly, confused by the human mind's unique structure. No other species had survived and grown so much despite inner struggles. Ethan's thoughts carried not only discipline but also hope. He hoped for peace, for cooperation, for understanding. Varin noticed the change and frowned. He had never seen a mind reader fail or hesitate. "Stop," he commanded, but the mind reader did not immediately move. It lingered in Ethan's mind, trying to comprehend what it saw. The alien's body trembled slightly. Ethan remained still, showing no sign of fear or arrogance. He understood the balance perfectly. Laura leaned closer and whispered, "It is confused. It does not understand you." Ethan nodded subtly. "Let it think," he replied in a quiet voice. "We have nothing to hide and we are not afraid." The council murmured among themselves. Some aliens were concerned, others were curious. No one had ever seen a human so composed under such scrutiny. Ethan stood firm, his hands lightly clasped behind his back. Every step, every gesture was controlled. He did not need to speak further. His presence alone sent a message of strength and calm. The mind reader finally pulled back. Its eyes were wide and its body stiff. Ethan felt the tension in the room shift. Aliens whispered to each other, confused by what had just happened. They expected humans to be simple, fearful, or chaotic. They did not expect discipline, clarity, and courage. Ethan's calm mind had disrupted their expectations completely. Varin raised his hand to silence the murmuring. "It seems humans are more resilient than we believed," he said slowly. "We will continue discussions, but this encounter has shown us something new." Ethan nodded slightly, acknowledging the words but not showing any sign of pride. Pride was unnecessary. Confidence in action and thought was stronger than words. Noah Price exhaled quietly. He had never felt more awe for his commander. Ethan's calm, steady presence had turned fear into respect. Laura smiled slightly, knowing that their position had strengthened. Humans were not physically the strongest species, nor the most advanced in technology. But they had something that could not be taken or copied: discipline, courage, and clarity of mind. The council room continued the meeting, but the mood had changed. Aliens no longer looked at Ethan as weak. They now regarded him with caution, maybe even respect. The mind reader stayed close but did not attempt another scan. It had learned that humans were not like other species. There was something unpredictable in them, something that could not be broken by mind reading or intimidation. As the session ended, Ethan walked calmly toward his seat. He nodded to Laura and Noah. "We did well," he said quietly. "They will need time to understand us. We give them that time, but we do not show weakness." Laura nodded, understanding completely. Strength was quiet and steady, not loud and aggressive. The aliens would have to learn that on their own. Outside the council room, the border crisis remained tense. Ships patrolled the regions, and communication lines buzzed with messages from distant stations. Ethan and his crew prepared for the next stage, knowing that the first step had been achieved. Humans had shown resilience and composure. They had not fired a shot, they had not made threats, yet they had earned attention and respect. The mind reader, once feared by countless leaders across galaxies, had frozen in the presence of a human mind. That alone would ripple through the alien council. Ethan knew this, and he felt no triumph, only purpose. Humanity's strength was not in weapons or sheer numbers, but in the courage to face fear without letting it rule them. As they left the council room, Ethan thought quietly to himself about the days ahead. Negotiations would continue, and challenges would rise. But one thing was certain: the first test had been passed. Aliens would see that humans were not just another species. They were disciplined, determined, and capable of extraordinary inner strength. And somewhere in the council chambers, the mind reader still tried to process what it had seen. It had looked into the commander's thoughts and found no weakness, only clarity, courage, and hope. It was a feeling unlike anything it had experienced before, and it left the alien unsettled. For the first time, it wondered if humans were a species that could not be easily controlled. The first contact had begun, but it had already changed the balance. Humans, small and seemingly fragile, had shown that they carried a mind that could challenge even the most advanced and feared species in the galaxy. And Ethan Brooks, without a single aggressive move, had proven that strength of thought could be as powerful as strength of arms. The council session ended, but Ethan's mission was just beginning. The aliens would watch, test, and challenge humanity in many ways. Yet he felt ready. His mind was clear, his heart steady, and his purpose strong. No alien could intimidate him, because he understood one simple truth: true power comes from discipline, courage, and the ability to face fear without letting it control you. The council chamber was quieter now. The mind reader hovered near the center, still trying to understand what it had seen in Ethan's mind. Ethan stood calmly, his hands behind his back, watching the alien carefully. He did not show fear, impatience, or arrogance. He only stood firm, like a tree in the wind. Laura King and Noah Price followed his every move, ready to respond if needed, but also learning from his calm presence. Varin spoke again, his voice carrying a mixture of curiosity and concern. "We need more clarity," he said. "Mind reader, try again. Go deeper. Show us what lies beneath." The mind reader's eyes glowed brighter. It extended its awareness into Ethan's thoughts. It expected to find fear buried deep, hesitation, doubt, or anger waiting to erupt. Instead, it found structure, patience, and careful planning. Ethan's mind was like a well-organized map, each memory and thought in its place. The alien recoiled slightly. It had never encountered a mind that could remain so focused under direct examination. Ethan thought calmly about the mission. He remembered the border regions, where human ships patrolled the outer limits. He remembered the dangers of space, asteroid fields, radiation storms, and hostile encounters. He recalled every choice he had made to keep his crew safe, and every decision had been weighed carefully. He did not think about impressing the aliens, he thought about responsibility. The mind reader tried to dig deeper. It sought emotion. It expected panic, hatred, or fear of failure. It found respect, courage, and a quiet determination. Ethan's thoughts were not wild or chaotic. They were strong, steady, and full of understanding. The alien felt something strange, a mixture of admiration and confusion. It had never seen a species that could face so much danger and remain so clear-minded. Noah watched from the back, holding his data tablet. He noticed the alien's hesitation and whispered to Laura, "It is like it doesn't know what to do. It expected a human to be weak, but it is not." Laura nodded quietly. "Humans have survived countless hardships," she replied. "It is not the body that makes us strong, it is the mind." Ethan focused on a memory from his training days. He remembered running in the rain during long drills, learning endurance and patience. He remembered nights spent studying navigation, tactics, and alien languages. He thought of the mistakes he had made and how he had learned from each one. He did not feel shame for the mistakes, he felt pride in his growth. The mind reader sensed this, and it was puzzled. Alien species often hid weaknesses, but humans revealed them and still stood strong. Varan spoke again, frowning. Your species is unusual. Most break under pressure or when their thoughts are exposed. You do not. Ethan did not reply. He knew words were unnecessary. His calm presence spoke more loudly than any explanation. The mind reader began to probe memories from Ethan's childhood. It saw hardship, loss, and challenges. It saw a human learning to survive in a harsh world. It saw moments of fear, moments of doubt, but also moments of courage. Each memory was followed by growth. The alien felt something strange. It felt respect and unease at the same time. It had expected to find weakness, but it found determination, focus, and resilience. Laura noticed a subtle change in the council chamber. Some aliens whispered among themselves, their expressions tense. They had never seen a mind reader pause like this. They began to watch Ethan with caution, unsure of what they were witnessing. Ethan continued to remain calm. He let the mind reader see what it wanted. He did not hide or resist. He knew that hiding weakness was pointless. True strength came from facing it. He thought about his crew, the humans under his command, and the responsibility he carried. He thought about the future and the need for cooperation, understanding, and preparation. The mind reader sensed something new, human empathy. It felt how humans cared for each other, even in the face of danger. It sensed loyalty, the willingness to protect others at great cost, and the ability to make hard decisions without hesitation. It had never experienced this combination of traits in another species. It froze momentarily, unable to process fully what it was sensing. Varan's voice broke the silence. "What is happening? Why does it hesitate?" he asked. The alien council leaned closer, worried. They did not understand why the mind reader could not continue normally. Ethan's calm mind had disrupted their expectations entirely. Ethan spoke quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "We do not hide from ourselves," he said. "We face challenges, we learn, and we act. Fear is not the enemy, it is the teacher." His words were simple, but the weight behind them was strong. The aliens could feel the difference between humans and other species they had encountered. Noah watched in awe as the mind reader slowly withdrew. It could not control the human mind, nor could it find any weakness. Its glowing eyes dimmed slightly, and it hovered uncertainly. Ethan's calmness had changed the dynamics in the room. Humans were no longer just another species. They were unpredictable, disciplined, and strong in ways the aliens could not measure. Laura leaned close to Ethan. "They will remember this," she said. "They cannot ignore it," Ethan nodded. "It is not about fear or threats," he replied. "It is about presence, responsibility, and clarity. They will respect it whether they like it or not." The council murmured, trying to understand what had happened. Some aliens looked uneasy, others curious. No one expected a human mind to remain so composed under such pressure. The mind reader, feared across galaxies for its ability to dominate others mentally, had been unable to break Ethan's focus. This realization began to shift the council's perception of humanity. Ethan thought about the next steps. He knew negotiations would continue, but he also knew that showing calm strength in the first encounter had set the tone. Humans did not need to prove physical strength or advanced technology. Their greatest advantage was in the mind, the ability to face fear, remain steady, and act responsibly. The mind reader finally spoke, its voice soft and uncertain. "I cannot fully process it," it admitted. Varan's eyes widened. Never had the mind reader admitted confusion. The council shifted nervously. Ethan remained still, his calm presence filling the room. He did not gloat, he did not show triumph. He only stood ready, prepared for the next stage. Laura and Noah exchanged glances. They had learned a lesson from Ethan's example. True strength did not need to be displayed loudly. It was quiet, steady, and unwavering. The mind reader's reaction proved it. Humans had survived countless challenges not because of power or numbers, but because of inner discipline, courage, and the ability to remain focused under pressure. Varin spoke slowly. Humans, you are different from what we expected. This changes things. Ethan nodded slightly, acknowledging the words. He knew that the aliens' perception of humans had shifted already. Humans were no longer weak, no longer easy to underestimate. Outside the council chamber, the border regions remained tense. Ships continued to patrol, communication lines remained busy, and reports of minor incidents arrived regularly. Ethan and his crew prepared for continued talks, knowing that showing calm strength had won respect. Aliens would now watch humans differently. They would approach future discussions with caution and curiosity, not assumption and disdain. The mind reader lingered nearby, still trying to understand Ethan's mind. It had looked for fear, for chaos, for weakness, but found focus, courage, and hope. It had never experienced such a combination. It began to sense that humans were unpredictable, capable of extraordinary mental strength, and impossible to control fully. Ethan considered this quietly. He knew challenges would continue. Aliens would test humanity in many ways, but he also knew the first step had been successful. Humans had shown that mental strength could rival physical power, diplomacy, and even technology. They had shown that courage, calmness, and clarity could command attention and respect. Noah whispered to Laura, "I have never seen a human act like that. It is remarkable." Laura nodded. "And it is only the beginning," she said. Ethan is showing them what humans are really capable of. They will remember this moment. Ethan turned to leave the chamber, walking steadily toward the exit. The mind reader hesitated before following, still unsure of how to react. Ethan's calm presence and steady mind had unsettled even the most feared alien of the council. It had looked into his thoughts and found only focus, courage, and empathy. Nothing else. As they stepped into the hallway, Ethan thought about the future. Negotiations would continue, and aliens would observe humans closely. Yet he felt ready. Humans had shown their strength without raising a weapon, without shouting threats, and without deception. Their power lay in discipline, courage, and the ability to face fear without being controlled by it. The mind reader remained in the chamber, silent and thoughtful. It had encountered countless minds across galaxies, but Ethan Brooks' mind was different. It had no weakness to exploit, no fear to manipulate, no chaos to break. It had only clarity, courage, and strength tempered by understanding. It froze again, this time in reflection. For the first time, it wondered if humans were a species that could not be easily dominated. Ethan knew the real challenge was still ahead. The Council would continue testing humanity, but he had set the tone. Humans were not fragile, unpredictable, or easily intimidated. Their greatest strength was not in weapons or technology, but in the mind. And Ethan Brooks had shown them, without a single act of aggression, that humanity's mind was a force to be respected. The mind reader hovered quietly in the council chamber. It had already tried to probe Ethan Brooks' mind twice and found nothing it could break. Now curiosity and unease filled it. It wanted to understand more, to see the depths of the human mind, but it also felt tension it had never felt before. Ethan stood calmly across the room, his posture steady, his face showing no fear. His presence alone seemed to fill the space with quiet confidence. Varin watched both carefully. "The mind reader wishes to continue," he said, "but be cautious. Humans are different." Ethan's expression remained calm. He did not need to respond with words. His composed stance was enough. Laura King and Noah Price observed silently, understanding that this stage would reveal even more about humanity. The mind reader reached into Ethan's mind again. This time it tried to go deeper, seeking not just memories of training or responsibility, but the full history of the human spirit. It wanted to find weakness, but it instead found a story of endurance. It first saw the early days of humanity on Earth, times of struggle, survival, and uncertainty. Humans had built societies despite harsh climates, diseases, and conflict. They had faced famine, storms, and countless natural disasters. Yet they had adapted, learned, and grown stronger. The alien felt surprise. It had seen many species in history, many that had risen and fallen quickly. Humans, however, endured despite every challenge. Ethan's mind reflected this history clearly, not as a story to boast but as truth to remember. Each generation learned from the last, growing in skill, understanding, and resilience. The mind reader struggled to process this. It had expected fragility, weakness, or panic at the depth of such memories. It found only perseverance. Ethan thought calmly about these memories as they appeared. He remembered stories his parents told him, tales of hard times and survival. He remembered studying human history, learning about the wars, the rebuilding, and the persistence of hope. He did not feel fear or shame. He felt understanding and respect for his species. This inner clarity was what the mind reader could not grasp. Laura whispered to Noah, "It is seeing the truth of humanity. It does not know what to do with it." Noah nodded. "I have never seen it act like this," he replied. "It is confused." Ethan remained focused. He knew the alien's reaction was not a threat. It was recognition of something it could not understand. Humans had survived because of inner strength, not power alone. The mind reader moved further, seeking more personal thoughts. It saw Ethan's own experiences, missions that had gone wrong, mistakes he had made, and friends he had lost. It saw the pain, the grief, and the determination to continue. Each failure had taught him, shaped him, and strengthened his resolve. Ethan's mind showed resilience built through hardship, not force. The alien recoiled slightly. It had never encountered someone who accepted fear and loss and still stood unwavering. Varin leaned forward, his multiple eyes reflecting concern. "Why does it hesitate?" he whispered to the council beside him. The mind reader was frozen in focus, unable to process the depth of human endurance. Aliens rarely saw strength that did not rely on aggression, domination, or technological power. Humans were different. They relied on discipline, clarity, and the courage to face reality without being controlled by it. Ethan reflected on this quietly. He thought about his crew, the humans he led, and the responsibility he carried. He thought about humanity's history, its triumphs and failures, and the lessons learned. He did not feel pride or fear. He felt understanding. He did not need to dominate or impress. He only needed to be steady and true. The mind reader now reached for emotions. It sought fear, anger, or weakness in Ethan's heart. It found empathy, loyalty, and courage. It found a desire to protect others, even at great personal cost. It found patience, discipline, and determination. It had never sensed such a combination before. It froze, unable to continue. It had faced many species, many leaders, and many minds, but nothing like this. Ethan's thoughts carried clarity and strength in perfect balance. Laura noticed the alien's hesitation and whispered to Noah, "It is overwhelmed." "It does not know how to continue," Noah nodded slowly. "Humans are strange, not weak, not chaotic, not violent without reason. They are steady." Ethan heard their quiet exchange and smiled faintly. It was true. Humans were steady, and that steadiness was what made them strong. The council murmured. Aliens whispered, their expressions tense. They had expected humans to be simple, fearful, or unpredictable. Instead, they saw a species capable of enduring pain, loss, and fear without being controlled by it. They saw strength built through discipline and experience. They were unsettled. Ethan allowed the mind reader to see more. He thought about decisions he had made for his crew's safety, for humanity's reputation, and for peace. He thought about mistakes, lessons learned, and plans for the future. He did not hide any thought. He had nothing to fear and nothing to prove. The alien sensed the calm, steady focus and could not find a foothold. Varin asked again, his voice low and cautious. "What is it seeing?" The alien hesitated. It is unlike anything we have known," it admitted softly. "Humans, they endure, they plan, they feel, and they do not break." The council stared, stunned. Never before had the mind reader confessed uncertainty or admiration. Ethan's calm clarity had changed everything. Noah whispered to Laura, "It is afraid, I think." Laura nodded slowly. "Not afraid of humans, but afraid of what it cannot understand. Strength like this, it is unpredictable." Ethan remained composed. He did not need to intimidate or threaten. His calm mind and steady presence had already done more than words or weapons could. The mind reader continued probing, now moving into humanity's collective memory. It saw wars, plagues, famines, and natural disasters. It saw humans rebuild again and again, learning, adapting, and improving. It saw courage in the face of impossible odds. It saw hope where others would have given up. The alien's body trembled slightly. It had expected to find weakness but found only resilience. Ethan's thoughts were steady. He remembered the sacrifices humans had made, the lessons learned, and the determination to continue. He thought about the crew under his command, the humans he knew, and the hope for peace with the aliens. He did not think of victory through aggression. He thought of endurance, clarity, and responsibility. The council was silent. They observed the alien closely. It had never behaved like this before. It was frozen, unable to continue. Ethan's mind had revealed something they had not expected. Humans were dangerous not because of weapons or technology, but because of resilience, courage, and discipline. Varin spoke softly, almost to himself. "Humans, they are not as we believed." The mind reader finally withdrew, hovering uncertainly. It could not process fully what it had seen. It had looked into Ethan's mind and found only clarity, courage, and strength tempered by understanding. It froze again, this time in awe. Laura whispered to Noah, "They will never forget this. Aliens will respect humans now, even if they do not fully understand them." Noah nodded. "And Ethan has done it without fighting, without boasting, without threatening. Only his mind, only his calm." Ethan turned slightly to Laura and Noah. "Strength is not weapons, not threats," he said quietly. "It is clarity, courage, and responsibility. They will see it." Laura smiled. "And now they do," she said. Outside the council chamber, the border crisis continued. Human ships patrolled carefully, communication lines stayed active, and reports came in steadily. Ethan and his team prepared for the next stages, knowing that showing calm mental strength had changed the aliens' perception. Humans were no longer just another species. They were resilient, disciplined, and capable of enduring far more than expected. The mind reader stayed behind, still processing. It had encountered countless minds, but Ethan Brooks' mind was unique. It had no fear to exploit, no chaos to manipulate, no weakness to find. It had only clarity, courage, and the ability to endure without being broken. It had looked into the human mind and found something it could not understand, and it froze. Ethan thought quietly as he left the chamber. Negotiations would continue, tests would come, and challenges would rise. But he felt ready. Humans had shown their strength without aggression, without threats, and without deception. Their power was in discipline, courage, and the mind's ability to face fear without being controlled by it. And somewhere in the council chamber, the mind reader lingered, frozen in reflection. For the first time in its life, it realized that humans were not a species that could be easily dominated. They were different, unpredictable, and strong in ways the galaxy had not yet fully understood. Ethan Brooks had passed the first true test. He had shown the aliens that humans had a force beyond technology, beyond weapons, beyond size or speed. It was a force of the mind, steady, courageous, and disciplined. And it had begun to change the way the galaxy viewed humanity. The council chamber was quieter than ever. The mind reader floated in the center, still frozen, still trying to understand the human mind it had just seen. Ethan Brooks stood calmly, his hands behind his back, observing the alien closely. Laura King and Noah Price stayed near him, ready to assist but mostly watching. The humans had not spoken much, yet their presence alone had shifted the mood of the entire chamber. Varin, the council leader, leaned forward. "This is unusual," he said quietly to the other aliens. "We have seen many species tested by the mind reader. None have reacted like this. Humans, they are different." Whispers spread among the alien delegates. They had expected fear, chaos, or weakness. Instead, they had seen courage, focus, and calm. The mind reader, still frozen, finally spoke in a hesitant voice. "I cannot fully process what I have seen. The human mind, it is resilient beyond comprehension. It endures fear, pain, and hardship, yet remains calm. It does not break under scrutiny or stress. It is unlike anything I have encountered." The council murmured, unsettled. Some aliens were curious, some afraid. They had never witnessed a species so strong in thought and spirit. Ethan watched silently, his calm presence emphasizing the human difference. He did not move aggressively, he did not raise his voice. He simply remained steady, letting his actions speak. Laura leaned slightly to Noah and whispered, "They will respect us now. Whether they like it or not, they cannot ignore this." Noah nodded, still staring at the mind reader. "It is frozen in place. It does not know how to react." Varin cleared his throat and addressed Ethan. "Human commander, your species is unexpected. We expected weakness, but we find strength. Strength of mind, courage, and clarity. Explain this." Ethan nodded slightly, still calm. "We are not perfect," he said quietly. "We have flaws, but we also learn. We face challenges and endure them. That is how we survive. Fear does not control us. Responsibility guides us." The council fell silent again. Ethan's words were simple, but they carried weight. Aliens had never faced a species whose strength came not from weapons, technology, or speed, but from the mind. Ethan had shown, without a single threat, that humans were disciplined, patient, and capable of great courage. The mind reader floated closer to Ethan, still unsure. It had expected control, fear, or manipulation to work. None of these had worked. The human mind was clear, strong, and disciplined. The alien council noticed the subtle trembling of the mind reader's limbs. It was trying to understand, but it could not. Varin spoke again, his tone firmer. "Humans, we must acknowledge your strength. Your commander's mind is remarkable. It has faced scrutiny without faltering. The mind reader cannot break it." Ethan nodded slightly. He did not gloat. Pride was unnecessary. Discipline and calm were stronger than words. Laura stepped forward. "We did not try to resist," she said. "We only remained calm and honest. That is the way of humans. We accept our challenges and learn from them. We do not hide our weaknesses, but we do not allow them to control us." The council listened closely. Aliens had rarely heard such honesty combined with strength. It was unfamiliar and unsettling. The mind reader hovered back, still processing. It had encountered countless species, but none had shown such balance. Fear was present in human memories, yes, but it had been controlled. Pain and loss had shaped strength rather than destroyed it. The alien felt something unfamiliar: admiration, unease, and confusion. It could not fully analyze the human mind, yet it could sense the extraordinary resilience present. Varin motioned to the council. "We must reconsider our approach. Humans are not as fragile as we assumed. This changes everything." The aliens whispered among themselves, trying to understand. They had underestimated humanity, and now they realized their assumptions had been wrong. Ethan remained calm, steady, and composed. He thought about the future, about peace and negotiation. He knew the human's greatest strength was not aggression but clarity, discipline, and courage. These traits had won respect without a single weapon fired. Noah leaned toward Laura again. "I cannot believe how calm Ethan is." He has not raised his voice, yet the council is afraid, confused, and impressed. Laura nodded. Strength of mind is the most powerful weapon, she said. He is showing them exactly that. The mind reader finally spoke again, its voice trembling slightly. Humans, I have looked deeply into one mind and found clarity, courage, and resilience. It is overwhelming. I cannot control or dominate it. The council shifted uneasily. Aliens were used to dominance and fear as tools. Humans had shown a different kind of power, one they did not understand. Varin nodded slowly. This is truth. Humans may be small, but they are strong in ways we did not predict. This commander has shown us a path we cannot easily challenge. Ethan remained still. He did not seek confrontation. He only allowed the truth of human strength to be seen. Laura noticed subtle changes among the alien delegates. Some leaned closer, studying Ethan. Others shifted nervously, realizing that assumptions about humanity had been wrong. Respect had been earned not by threats or displays of power, but by calm confidence, discipline, and the courage to endure scrutiny without breaking. Ethan thought quietly. He remembered past missions, losses, and victories. He thought about his crew and humanity's history. He did not feel fear. He did not feel anger. He only felt responsibility and purpose. That clarity radiated outward, affecting the aliens without words. The mind reader floated closer, still trying to analyze. It had seen military leaders, political figures, and rulers of many species. All had weaknesses the mind reader could exploit. Ethan Brooks had none. Only focus, courage, and calm. The alien could not understand why such resilience existed in a species so young in galactic terms. Varin addressed Ethan again. We must continue discussions, but know this. Humans are exceptional. Your commander has earned attention that your species did not expect to receive. Ethan nodded slightly. Our goal is peace, not dominance, he said quietly. But we will face challenges and endure them. That is the way of humans. The council murmured. The words were simple, yet they carried a profound weight. Humans had shown that courage, discipline, and clarity could change perception without weapons or threats. The mind reader remained frozen, still trying to process the strength it had witnessed. Noah whispered, "It is almost like the alien is afraid." Laura replied quietly, "Not afraid in the usual way. It is unsure of what it can do." Ethan has shown a kind of power it cannot control. Ethan overheard and nodded slightly. He did not feel triumph. He felt responsibility. Strength without control or purpose was meaningless. The council chamber stayed quiet. Aliens observed, unsettled but aware. Humans had revealed something that could not be ignored. Their strength was not in numbers or technology, but in the mind. Ethan Brooks had shown them that humanity could endure, adapt, and face challenges without being broken. Varin finally spoke to the council as a whole. This changes our approach. Humans are not weak. They are disciplined, strong, and unpredictable. We must treat them with caution and respect. The council nodded slowly. They had never seen a species demonstrate such resilience without force. Ethan thought about the next stage of negotiations. He knew aliens would continue to test humans, to challenge them, to try to control them. But the first stage had already been won. Humans had shown that mental clarity, courage, and discipline could earn respect, shift perception, and create understanding. The mind reader finally withdrew completely. It hovered near the wall, silent and thoughtful. It had faced countless minds, but Ethan's mind had been different. It had no weaknesses to exploit, no fear to control, only clarity, courage, and resilience. For the first time, it realized humans were not a species that could be easily dominated. Ethan left the chamber slowly, his movements calm and purposeful. Laura and Noah followed. They had witnessed a rare moment, humans earning respect not through threats or power, but through discipline, courage, and clarity. Aliens would remember this encounter for a long time. Outside the chamber, the border crisis continued. Human ships patrolled carefully, communication lines stayed active, and reports came steadily. Ethan prepared for the next stages. knowing that mental strength had already shifted the balance. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were seen as disciplined, courageous, and capable of extraordinary resilience. The council chamber remained silent after the humans left. Aliens whispered among themselves. The mind reader floated quietly, still processing the encounter. It had seen the human mind at its best and had been unable to dominate it. Respect, caution, and even fear of the unknown filled the alien council. Humans were no longer just another species. They were resilient, strong, and unpredictable. Ethan Brooks had passed the second true test. Without firing a shot, without raising his voice, and without threat, he had shown that human strength lay in the mind. Courage, clarity, and discipline had earned attention, respect, and a place among galactic leaders. That aliens could not ignore. The council chamber was quiet after the humans had left. Whispers filled the room as aliens tried to understand what had just happened. Ethan Brooks, Laura King, and Noah Price walked down the wide corridor outside. They moved calmly, without hurry, without tension. The first stage of the encounter had ended, but the effects were still rippling through the council. Ethan thought quietly. The mind reader had tried to probe his thoughts and had failed. It had seen courage, discipline, and clarity. It had seen humanity's endurance and adaptability. He knew the aliens would continue testing humans, but he also knew that respect had already been earned. Humans were no longer underestimated. Their strength lay not in weapons or numbers but in the mind. Laura glanced at Ethan. "They will remember this," she said softly. "They cannot ignore what they saw." Ethan nodded slightly. "It is not about them remembering. It is about truth. We do not need to exaggerate or threaten. Our actions and calm presence speak for themselves." Noah carried the data tablet with reports from the border regions. "It is strange," he said quietly. "They expected us to be weak, scared, or chaotic. Instead, they saw discipline, courage, and clarity. They do not know how to respond." Ethan smiled faintly. "Humans are not like other species. That is why they cannot easily predict us." Back in the council chamber, the mind reader floated silently. It had never encountered a mind like Ethan's. Every probe, every scan, every attempt to understand had failed to find weakness. It had felt something unfamiliar: admiration, confusion, and even unease. The alien council watched it closely. They knew that humans had shown strength that could not be easily measured. Varin, the council leader, addressed the chamber. "Humans are extraordinary. Their commander has shown us strength, clarity, and courage unlike anything we have encountered. We must proceed with caution and respect." The other aliens murmured in agreement. Their assumptions about humanity had been completely wrong. They had underestimated a species that could endure, adapt, and remain calm under pressure. Meanwhile, Ethan and his team reached their quarters. They did not celebrate. There was no need. Calm clarity was their strength, and it had been shown. Ethan thought about the next stages of negotiation. The aliens would continue to challenge humans, but now with a new understanding. Respect had been earned without aggression, threats, or weapons. Laura spoke quietly. "Ethan, do you think they will ever fully understand humans?" He considered this for a moment. "Perhaps not," he said, "but understanding is not necessary. What matters is respect and acknowledgement of our strength. That is enough for now." Noah looked up from the tablet. "They are still watching. They will be cautious in their next moves." Ethan nodded. "Good. Caution is a beginning. It shows they have learned something from us." Back at the council chamber, the mind reader reflected on what it had experienced. It had seen not just Ethan Brooks, but a reflection of humanity itself. Courage in the face of danger, discipline in the face of chaos, and clarity in the face of fear. It could not control or dominate such a mind. It had never met a species that could endure so much yet remain calm, focused, and aware. Varin turned to the council. "We must respect humans. They are not fragile, unpredictable, or chaotic. Their strength is in their mind. That is what we must consider in all future dealings." The aliens nodded slowly. Even those who had been skeptical realized the truth. Humans were different, strong in ways that could not be measured with weapons or technology. Ethan prepared for the next meeting with the council. He reviewed his reports and plans carefully. He thought about the border regions, the humans under his command, and the importance of remaining calm and steady. He knew that the first impression had been made, and it was powerful. Humans were no longer underestimated. Laura and Noah joined him in preparation. Our calm approach worked, Laura said. They respect strength, not threats. Ethan nodded. Yes, but it is only the beginning. We must continue to act with discipline, clarity, and courage. That is how humans are understood and respected. In the council chamber, the aliens continued to discuss the encounter. The mind reader hovered quietly, still processing the depth of Ethan's mind. It realized that humans could not be dominated, intimidated, or controlled in the usual ways. Strength of thought, discipline, and courage had earned respect. The aliens had learned a valuable lesson that could not be ignored. Ethan and his team moved toward the meeting room for the next stage. They did not rush. Their calm presence was a statement. Aliens observed them carefully. The humans' quiet confidence had already shifted perception. They were no longer a species to be underestimated. Varin addressed the humans as they entered. We acknowledge your strength and clarity. Humans are unlike any species we have encountered. We will proceed with respect and caution. Ethan nodded slightly. Our goal is cooperation and peace. We will face challenges, but we will endure and act responsibly. That is the way of humans. The council listened intently. The mind reader remained quiet, hovering near the wall. It had seen the full depth of the human mind and understood something it could not control. It had felt the courage, discipline, and clarity of Ethan Brooks, and through him, a reflection of humanity itself. Noah whispered to Laura, "They are finally seeing what humans can do without weapons or threats. It is impressive." Laura nodded. "It is our strength of mind that matters. Ethan has shown them that." Ethan overheard but did not respond. He did not need to. His actions and calm presence spoke more loudly than words ever could. The council proceeded with discussions. Humans remained calm, steady, and attentive. They answered questions honestly, shared information carefully, and maintained discipline. Every movement, every word, every action reinforced the perception of strength, clarity, and courage. Aliens took note. Respect grew with each passing moment. After hours of discussion, Varin spoke again. "Humans, we acknowledge your capabilities. Your commander has shown us that strength comes not from force, but from clarity, courage, and discipline. Your species is resilient and capable of enduring far more than we expected." Ethan nodded quietly. "We do not seek dominance, we seek cooperation. But we will endure and we will act responsibly. That is how humans survive." The mind reader finally withdrew completely. It had learned something new. Humans could not be dominated easily. They could not be intimidated or controlled. Strength came from the mind, from discipline, from courage, and it respected humans for it. Laura whispered to Noah, "This is the moment they truly understand us." Noah nodded. "They have seen our strength without aggression. That is more powerful than anything else." Ethan thought quietly. He knew the human's greatest advantage was the mind. It had been shown, and it had earned respect. As the humans prepared to leave the council chamber, they walked calmly, with quiet confidence. Aliens observed them carefully, understanding that humans were no longer to be underestimated. Respect had been earned, not through threats or weapons, but through discipline, clarity, and courage. Ethan thought about the future. Challenges would come, but humans were ready. Their strength lay in their mind, in their ability to endure, adapt, and remain calm under pressure. They had shown this to the alien council. They had earned recognition. They had earned respect. Varin addressed the council one final time. "Humans have shown us a power we did not expect. Their strength is in their mind. We must approach all future dealings with caution, respect, and acknowledgement of their capabilities. The council nodded. Even the mind reader remained silent, finally understanding the magnitude of what it had witnessed. Ethan, Laura, and Noah returned to their quarters. They did not celebrate. There was no need. The calm clarity of humans had spoken for itself. The aliens would remember this encounter. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were strong, disciplined, courageous, and resilient. The border regions remained tense, but human ships patrolled efficiently and carefully. Communication lines stayed active. Reports arrived steadily. Humans acted with discipline and calm, demonstrating their strength without confrontation. Aliens continued to observe, learning that human power was subtle, quiet, but deeply formidable. Ethan thought quietly about the lessons learned. Calm clarity, discipline, and courage had earned respect. The mind reader had been unable to dominate his thoughts. The council had acknowledged humanity's strength. Humans had shown that true power was not in weapons, speed, or technology, but in the mind itself. Laura and Noah joined him, ready for the next mission. "They will remember this," Laura said. "We have shown them what humans are truly capable of." Ethan nodded. "Yes, and we will continue to show it with our actions, discipline, and courage. That is our strength. That is the way of humans." The story ended with humans standing firm, respected not through aggression or threats, but through clarity, courage, and discipline. Ethan Brooks had proven that the human mind could earn recognition and respect across the galaxy. Humans were resilient, capable, and strong beyond what any alien had imagined. And this moment marked a new chapter in humanity's place in the galaxy, respected, acknowledged, and truly understood.